Lock us in, load us in, pop in that 8-track, spin the tape. Here we go. Hey now, and welcome back to a brand new and special episode of Star Wars Time. And why is it so special? Well, that's because it's our year-end blowout blue light special. That's right, we're going to talk about 15 of the best moments from all of Star Wars from the year 2018. I know we're a little late. We're in 2019, but, you know, Nick and I, again, sometimes have to re-assimilate with humans and talk to family and take care of kids and parents and siblings and girlfriends and wives and this, that, and the other thing. But we're back and we're almost dead. That's the other thing. Both of us got Ebola cancer.
Yeah, we both got struck with illness during our holidays.
I'm still dealing with it.
And I think obviously we're both still kind of getting over it. My voice may sound a little different. Matt's over there coughing his lungs out. But you know what? We're still going. And, you know, what's a better way to start 2019 off than to take a look back at 2018 and say, what was really good about 2018? A little reminiscing. So we got a list here, like Matt said, 15 items, all put together by Matt himself, the orchestrator of StarWarsTime.net. And, you know, he's got a really solid list here. And, I mean, not only does it give us what we, you know, experienced in 2018, but it also gives us things to look forward to in 2019. I love it. And then, obviously, at the end of the 15, we may add in a little bit, you know, honorable mentions, you could call them, or a little bit of personal flair.
Totally.
A little bit, you know, something like that to give you guys a little bit more of an, you know, inside look into our lives a little bit. So 15 of the best moments in Star Wars in 2018. Matt, why don't you bring it around for us?
Right. So, I mean, obviously these moments, I wouldn't say the ranking has any merit to the moment. I just kind of rattle them off as they came to me. So the first one we have on the list, and you can follow along in the post on StarWarsTime.net. We'll obviously include it in the post body here. If you come to us through StarWarsTime.net, if not, if I remember, I may even throw it on the YouTube feed. You never know. Either way, StarWarsTime.net. So, number one, Nick. And honestly, if we were to rank them, I think this would be my number one. And that's the fact that Star Wars Episode 9 began principal photography in 2018. In particular, in August of 2018.
Yeah. This is it, people. I mean, we've talked about it a few times on other podcasts, but this is the end, as far as we know, of the Skywalker saga. And it started production 2018, and we're going to get our hands on it in 2019.
Do you think this is it?
I don't know, man. I guess it depends on what is considered the Skywalker saga, right? Like,
I agree. I mean, I think they could get away with saying that it does end now, but still bring back characters from 7, 8, 9.
I agree, because I have to say I love this cast. I mean, I do
too. And as divisive as Ryan's entry was, I do think his is the entry that allows them to separate. I mean, that's what his message was, essentially.
Yeah.
Anyone can be a Skywalker level Force user.
Yeah. So
let's go.
And like, here's what I really enjoy about it is that obviously this whole trilogy is in some form or fashion. It doesn't even have to be direct story mirroring, but there is a mirroring to the original trilogy, and the roles that the characters of the new trilogy have fallen into are really starting to, I guess you would say, they're starting to develop really well. And it kind of makes me sad that there's only one more movie slated with these characters. Like, I really want to see.
I mean, I went 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. in the original trilogy, we got a lot of time covered over those 3 movies. Like,
Right.
episode 4 was by itself, but by episode 5, a little bit of time passed. Like, Luke had become a commander. He had already started, learning the Force on his own.
You've hit on a great point. Because as I think what you're leading to is in the new trilogy, we're talking maybe a year's time total.
Yeah, I mean, you're between 7 and 8. We're talking minutes.
No, we're talking between 7 and 9 because, I mean, as well,
Yeah.
we have another episode of the show planned to talk about this, but we do have the timeline for 9 mapped out now, and it's only a year away from 8. So
Yeah.
we're still only talking from the beginning of TFA to 9, a year.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
maybe like a couple days.
And that's what I'm like. That's why I want more of these characters, because between the 3 movies and the OT, we got to see everybody grow so much. Whereas
True.
in this so
You're
far,
exactly right.
we really haven't got to see much character growth
No.
outside of just the events. So I think that there's an opportunity to continue stories with these characters and really show that growth like we got with Han, Luke, and Leia in the original trilogy in further movies with, this cast of the sequel
Well, if
trilogy.
anything, my buddy's been pushing for either like an old school movie where there's an intermission for 9 and you literally just have to get up and take a break because it's that long.
Yeah.
Or
I'd be
at
down for
least, like LOTR level stuff and we're, 3 hours.
No, dude. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, Psycho.
I think a lot of us would also take 2 movies released back to back.
I would take Matrix style, where 2 and 3 came out like a month apart, or something like that. Or if they just released at
like
the same
a
time.
few months for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would take that. But then also, like, the crazy psycho Star Wars fan in me is like, give me a feature length movie in the theaters that is the same length as Return of the King Special Edition, Extended Edition.
Oh, I would take
Give
that.
me
I mean,
5.5
think-
hours.
I honestly think most people would take it, but it will never happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think Disney may give JJ the green light for a 3-hour long screen time movie. I think they may say,
I hope it is the longest Star Wars movie, which just needs to be longer than TLJ.
TLJ, yeah, because that was the longest. I think it clocked in
Yeah,
at
and
2
before
hours,
that,
44.
I believe was ROTS.
Yeah, they're both in the 2-hour 40-minute area, but TLJ is 2:40. It's like 4 or 5 minutes
It's
longer.
2:32, man. Trust me.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
watched it-
you've been.
I've watched it at least 3 times in the past 2 weeks because of the little one. So
Yeah, you've been on.
I know the
binge.
time dead on. It's 2:32.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's what I want out of 9. I want,
Oh, dude, 9's got to be 2:45 plus.
yeah. There's just so much ground to cover. And I want to see character growth. Like, we've seen some minuscule character growth just based off of the events they've been through, but you don't get to see, like, what we saw with Luke going from a farm boy to a Jedi Knight. Like,
Totally.
you don't, like, with Rey, we've seen her go from a scavenger to a Force user, and that's about it. Like,
No,
think-
you're dead on because again, I've watched both of the 7 and 8 now multiple times within a very short time span because my kid is literally a Star Wars crackhead at this point, and
Honestly,
that's
it's
just all she
pretty-
wants. Like wakes up. We're talking 8 o'clock. As soon as I get her dressed, Dad, you want to watch a movie? What do you want to watch? Star Wars. It's like, okay, which one? Which one today? How many gonna have to watch today? And I love Star Wars, but it's like, I mean, on the weekends it's now become like the OT smack where a Saturday is literally the 6-hour plus worth of original trilogy content.
You gotta get her. Has she seen Solo yet? I feel like she would like Solo.
Well, we have to trick her at this point.
Really?
Yeah. We have to be like, you want a new one? And look, it's Solo. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I hit play right away. But if I give her too long, she'll realize that Luke's not in it, and then she gets pissed.
Yeah. You gotta
I'm not
just...
telling you, dude. Like, again, I'll bring it up when we talk about our personal phase, but when we watched TFA, I mean, she was offended by the appearance of Grandmaster Luke.
Well, that's something that we will get to at the end of the cast. But so yeah, moment number
So anyways, moving on. But yeah, I mean, come on. Episode 9, it's been shot. It's on the reel. I still don't think we've gotten the announcement that it's a wrap. That's the crazy thing to me.
No, yeah, I don't think that
but
we
not
have.
surprising because, again, it didn't even start till August. So they're not even really 6 months in the principal.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine they're very close to being done. So anyways, moving on. Number 2. Billy D and Mr. Mark Hamill confirmed for episode 9. So, I mean, Hamill might not have been that big of a surprise, but honestly, if you follow Mark on Twitter, I mean, he leveled some shit out. Like, yo, basically, I'm done. I don't care. I'm out. Whatever.
Yeah, he was very, very
So it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, he was adamant that he was finished with Star Wars after episode 8. So do you think that, like, that JJ Sweet talked him, or do you think it was just the ruse? Like, he knew he was coming back and he was just playing
Yeah,
dumb?
I think it's Mark being Mark. I mean, he's a pro. He's a
But, yeah. But like you said, the big surprise here was Billy D. Williams coming back to reprise his role as Lando Calrissian.
Right.
I mean, that
agree.
is massive.
I agree. But I think it was done for a direct reason, and that is the death of Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
I do not think Lando was intended for 9.
No, I don't think so either. I think if you probably go back and look at the initial casting decisions, all of the contracts that were signed at the time of TFA's release or
we
inception.
have a brand new script, man. I mean, it's a brand new, like Trevorrow and his boy, that shit was blown up.
Yeah,
It's over.
Essentially, his script heavily relied on both Luke and Leia being alive, so that had to get
It's still
blown up.
mind-boggling to me that they even allowed that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was again.
When does someone in charge step in and go, hey, Mr. Trevorrow, by the way, that guy already wrote a movie, and shit happens, and you just need to deal with it.
Yeah. I just feel like that was the moment where we realized that the Star Wars story group doesn't do anything.
Useless.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
Like, what the fuck are they doing? I mean, how does that happen?
They just kind of
How do you have creative differences over a fucking trilogy?
Yeah, within your own franchise. Like, it was already out there who all the directors were. It would have been
like George fighting with George.
Yeah. He would have, like, episode 4 George was talking to episode 6 George, and episode 6 George was pissed because...
I mean, even George himself proved during the original years that he could hand over creative vision to other people.
Yeah, I mean, he let Larry Kasdan direct episode 6 and Irving Kershner direct episode 5. I mean, obviously he was still kind of the puppet master to the whole thing.
I mean, he wrote the story, but I mean, they massaged the script and obviously directed the scenes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was very odd, that whole moment, but getting back to Billy.
Anyways, it's excellent. I mean, we're gonna have both Lando and Luke in episode 9. I mean, that is a win-win. I do think the Lando thing is a sort of a Band-Aid, but honestly a welcome Band-Aid. I'll take it. I completely see where it's coming from. I can see how it'll fit in, and I can see how it'll be awesome. And honestly, I saw this dude at the it was something for African American Hollywood Awards. He won a big award.
Oh yeah, Lifetime Achievement Award. Yep.
We put it up on the site, or I did. I mean, Harrison did a thank you. But Billy looked damn good, and seeing that footage, I know we kind of made fun of him a little bit, but seeing that footage was encouraging, and I honestly think he's gonna be a standout in episode 9.
Yeah, I mean, he has the opportunity to really bring back the character that everybody loved from the original trilogy, and it breathed new life to him. Like, what has he been doing? What has Lando been doing since the end of episode 6? I mean, it seems like he's not involved with the New Republic or the Resistance in any way. So he's got to be doing something else. And I'm really excited to see the character decisions that are made with him. I'm excited to see Billy D back himself. I mean, we saw that video of him working out. We kind of riffed on it a little bit in one of our last casts. I mean, it's really cool to see Disney and Lucasfilm taking, like you said, taking a tragedy that happened with Carrie Fisher and then finding a way to bandage it, and that way is with another original trilogy cast member. I think it was a really good move, and I'm super excited about what he's going to be able to bring to this movie. So, yeah, solid number 2.
I agree. Number 3 doesn't get much. I mean, honestly, this whole list is pretty excellent, but number 3, the Clone Wars Returns reveal. That was pretty huge. It went down. I forget when it went down. I think it was was it over the spring or the summer?
I think it was over the summer, but I could be wrong.
Who cares? Either way, we were let known, all fans of the Star Wars were let known that Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated series, is coming back. And it's going to be part of the Disney Plus streaming service, which again is just another reason why you're going to be forced to buy it. Pun intended. Yeah. Force your face.
2019 is now here, and that means that the streaming service is coming. It means that Clone Wars is coming. And this Clone Wars thing is literally almost exactly what all of the fans have been asking for since the Disney acquisition. Like, Disney bought Star Wars. They killed Clone Wars. We got an excellent show in Rebels, but then everybody has always wanted a proper ending to Clone Wars, and now we're getting it. And, I mean, this couldn't be more of a fan service move. I know it's not the reason that they did it. I know that this show is very near and dear to Dave Filoni's heart, and I'm sure that he made his case.
He's a power player at this point.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, he's not only working on animated stuff now, he's also directing episodes of The Mandalorian, which, I mean, was announced a while ago. But he definitely threw his weight around, I feel, in the Lucasfilm offices to say, like, hey, you guys need to give me the opportunity to close this show the way that it needs to be closed. And we're getting it now. And there's a lot of fantastic stuff that we're going to find out here. I mean, there's an entire arc that's left with Ahsoka before she turns into Fulcrum in the Rebels series. There's everything that's going to go down between Anakin and the Jedi Order. I mean, there is still a lot of ground to cover here, and I couldn't be more excited for the show to be back.
Yeah, dude. I mean, outside of getting the Mando and the Cassian, this to me is a Disney Plus seller. So I'm all about it. Can't wait to see how things go down. I think it's going to, again, properly showcase Anakin's decline. After rewatching Revenge of the Sith recently, I've confirmed that it could be the worst prequel at this point. May even be worse than Attack of the Clones. And this is backed up by a non-Star Wars fan, anyone doesn't give a fuck about any of this bullshit we worry about and we stress about and we get angry about and we yell at each other about. It confirmed to me this week after seeing again that it could be one of the worst movies ever made. And I tend to agree. But again, that's another time, another place. We have cast planned for that shit. But Clone Wars, let's go. Let's pump up Anakin. Give him, send him down that path. Make him dark. Make him angry. But also justifiably. Show why. Show how much the council upset him by fucking him over and not trusting him. Don't just snap a finger and make him Darth fucking Vader. All right, so number 4, my friend. Again, you kind of alluded to it earlier, and really the next 2 are going to be references from Star Wars Rebels, one of the greatest animated Star Wars shows out there. All you people have to watch it. The finale was fantastic. I mean, we're talking some of the best Star Wars moments I've ever seen in any format. And by best, I'm talking emotional, like gut punches, legitimate gut punches, legitimate character arcs that end the way they should end. It was just a beautiful, epic final season.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's so impressive about this show is I don't know if it was planned the way that Clone Wars was planned because of the Disney acquisition, but again, Dave Filoni and all the writers put together a show with characters that nobody had ever heard of before. I mean, the good thing about Clone Wars was that you had recognizable characters all around it. And you go into Rebels and you don't know anybody. You don't know anybody in the main cast. They're all brand new characters, but you fall in love with them so quickly. And like you said, the finale itself, well, the final season was so good, and there were so many moments, like you said, with Kanan. I mean, with his, the wrap up of his arc. I'm not going to try to not give any spoilers because I know there's people out there who still haven't seen it.
I mean, that's the moment I was alluding to. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
To me, one of the most emotional Star Wars character moments of all time.
Yeah. And, obviously you have the situation with Ezra, and, in the show itself, you bring in one of the most famous old EU characters of all, and that's Grand Admiral Thrawn. So you bring him back into Star Wars lore to proper canon, and not only do you do that, you do it so well, and you bring him all the way through until season 4, and I mean, it was just all around. It was a fantastic, fantastic season, and I don't think that they could have executed that final season anymore. I mean, in your description, you say that it was kind of a shame that it only got 4 full seasons, but it was the 4 seasons that we got were, like you said, some of the best Star Wars TV that we've ever seen. So,
no, it was great, and it just kind of bleeds into moment number 5. And again, it comes to us courtesy of Star Wars Rebels, but it is a major moment in Star Wars canon, and that is Darth Maul's, I guess, spoiler, Darth Maul's actual death.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Darth Maul did not actually die in Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. He survived that horrible fall down the whatever shaft he fell down, and he lived. He made it through, and we actually got to see him in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and then we see
like a
him
good
come
Sith.
back again.
He lived on his hate.
Yeah, he literally
and pain and suffering.
subsisted.
I mean, that's what he lived off of.
Yeah, I mean, after being cut in half, like the guy just gutted it out and fucking lived for years on just his hate alone. And I mean, it's a character that I think again was done way more justice in the cartoon series than in the movies.
Of course.
Obviously, Maul wasn't supposed to be a primary character in the movies, but the way that he was brought to life in the cartoon series by Sam Witwer, I mean, it was fantastic. It was a fantastic job.
Just as a quick question tangent.
Yeah.
Do you think that the fact that that Obi-Wan Kenobi essentially had 2 of the greatest Siths of all time derive their power due to their hate for him, does that not make Obi-Wan one of the greatest Jedi of all time?
Dude, I think that is almost unquestionable at this point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, both Darth Maul and Darth Vader essentially fed off of their hate for Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's what motivated them to get past their physical, deformities, their pain. It was literally their hate for their failings to Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that can be argued a whole, over and over again, I guess you could say. But I think that Obi-Wan has overcome so much adversity in his time as a Jedi, and
he's got to be on the Mount Rushmore Jedis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you can put anybody else up there. I mean, you figure you have
Yoda,
Luke, Grandmaster Yoda, Obi, and then the 4th one would be. I mean, who would be your 4th?
Does Mace go up there just cause?
Just cause? I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like
lightsaber.
He had a purple lightsaber, super dope. But that's the thing is, like, we always talk about the lack of Sith characters. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you throw Anakin up there just off of principle.
That's my point. You can't if you just watch the movies.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. That's the point of all my hatred for the prequels.
Yeah.
But if you watch the Clone Wars and hopefully the new Clone Wars, I think you could make an argument that Anakin deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of Jedis.
Yeah, because
Just
there's really...
like Obi-Wan pumps him up in A New Hope, and he was technically lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
I like how George used that one phrase to just really fuck up the whole prequels. But I do.
He actually used it in the original trilogy to
Oh,
justify bullshit from the A New Hope because he didn't think he was making 3 movies.
Oh yeah.
So he's always been shifty.
I'm trying to sit here and think of a 4th Jedi, but there's really nobody left. I mean, could Rey be up there eventually? It's possible.
Totally. Of course.
You know, because really, if you think about the pantheon of Jedi characters,
she should be up there right now.
Yeah, I mean,
think about what she's accomplished. Again, as we talked about earlier, we're talking a year and a half, not even, dude. Because I do believe TFA was like a bing bang boom.
Yeah, TFA and TLJ
I think
are like...
We show up on Jakku, we team up with the heroes, they fucking jet off, run into Solo, they jet off, run into Maz, war, run into Leia, war, game over, boom, TLJ starts.
Yeah, I think at most TFA covers like maybe a week of time.
Exactly.
And then TLJ, we know that TLJ happens in literally a day.
Hours.
Like, yeah, it's not even a day. Like, not even a full day. It's just like a span of hours. And then that's it. Like
we said, we're going to be talking about it in the next episode. But, I mean, we now know that episode 9 is only a year later.
Yeah, so there's very little time for her to grow, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they develop her character. And
but like
who
I
she
said,
has
I mean,
become.
And I've seen it 1,000 times now, but the moment in TFA when they're in the forest and you think Kylo's going for it, it starts playing the family music, and lo and behold, homegirl, who has only just realized she has this ability, snatches the Skywalker family blade, lights it up, gets the Luke theme. It's like, boom, then she kicks his ass.
Yeah, that's
literally kicks the shit out of him.
That was a tear. Like, my eyes watered up. I still get spine
tingles. That moment
tingles
is
and
beautiful.
Everything.
I also like when he's got her on the edge and he says the Force, and then it sinks into her and she's like, the Force.
Yeah.
And then that's when she really channels the shit, and she probably taps into the dark side a bit because she starts railing on him, and that's when she beats the piss out of him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in the novelization of the movie, they even say that she kind of does
like Snoke
tap
was
into
whispering to her.
Yeah, like she was feeling that pull as she was standing over him.
But point being, I mean, she does that immediately, and then in the follow-up, she can already handle having force-to-force communications with this Supreme Master.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I mean,
she's
Kylo's no joke. Everyone's got to remember that. I mean, this dude's been training since he was a kid. Rey's only up until TLJ been doing it for a week.
Yeah. She's only known about the Force for like
a
week.
So she can handle going toe to toe with him in Force World and almost like convinces him to be good.
Yeah.
And then goes and fights with him and convinces him to turn. And then still has enough power to essentially knock him out, take the remnants of Skywalker family blade in peace.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
And then she uses the Force to open up a cave so all the Resistance people can get out.
Yeah, like
pretty good.
Legitimately,
Luke couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Luke wasn't doing that on Dagobah. He was doubting himself.
Yeah, he could barely lift up 3 rocks, and she lifted up like 50 rocks or whatever it was.
She's definitely on that fucking Rushmore.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with her character.
I don't even know why we were talking about the Rushmore Jedi, but I'm glad we did.
Anyway, yeah, so number 5, seeing Maul's actual death. Well, let's just talk about that moment for a second. I mean, I think you pointed it out to me after I had watched the episode, and you said, like, did you notice that he killed them the same? Maul tried to go at Obi
Maul
the same
tries
way.
to use the same moves that he used on Qui-Gon, but Obi-Wan, in his wisdom, and meditation was like, bap bap.
Yeah.
It was literally like it was like a 2-strike done.
Yep. And I mean, it's not only that, but it's the moment after, because like Obi-Wan
he sits with him. I mean, he pretty much comforts him into death.
Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan could have just walked away, could have just left his body to rot.
He feels bad for him because he realizes that Maul literally has just stunted everything in his life over his hatred for himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, that moment, it was really cool to see, is like these two people who are essentially, diametrically opposed to each other coming together in one of their deaths.
Well, it was also cool because at the very end we got to see Obi-Wan checking up on little Lukey.
Yeah, that too.
And he was like 10 or 11 Luke.
It was, yeah. I mean, that whole moment between those two was great, and I mean, I'm glad they could have. I feel like the writers of Rebels could have taken it a different way and tried to make it this epic, drawn out battle, but like they did it the right way.
No, it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was exactly what it needed to be, because it showed that if you embrace the dark side and all you do is focus on your hate and this, that, and the other thing, you truly cannot grow and get better and learn. Yeah. And that's what Obi-Wan proved to him. He's like, yo, I learned from my own master's mistakes in battle because I've been able to focus and meditate and get better and stronger with the Force, where you've just literally stunted yourself over your hatred for me.
Yeah. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic scene. If you guys haven't seen it, watch Star Wars Rebels through. If you want to just see that moment, it's on YouTube. You can find it. It's also
and that's one of many great moments in Rebels. I mean, just in its final season, but also in its 4th season. I mean, it is well worth investing your time in.
Yeah. All right.
100%. So, I mean, speaking of Maul, he comes in at number 6 too, because in 2018 we also got the return of Maul to live action Star Wars. Yeah, we got to see him come back in Solo, and I mean, obviously the Solo's had its box office issues, and we're probably not going to be getting any follow-ups, but that moment was a perfect setup moment, and it flowed perfectly with what we had seen in the cartoon series as well. I mean, the position that Maul was put in Solo fit perfectly along with his story arc from Clone Wars, and I thought that was a fantastic job by John and Larry Kasdan to be able to recognize the ability to take that TV storyline and insert it into a movie. And then obviously having Ray Park there as the body of Maul, and then having Sam Witwer as the voice was fantastic. I mean, I think that ending to Solo was just... It took the movie to another level. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. If you weren't going to say it, I was going to say it. It took it over the top.
Yeah.
It took Solo from a really good Star Wars movie to a great Star Wars movie.
And I think that's what was so important, is that not like in a Star Wars movie, what you have to do is not only do you have to tell a good story, but you also have to leave it open to a continuation of a good story. And that was perfectly executed by John and Larry Kasdan. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better ending and a better setup to what would have been.
I mean, dude, we know that there was more to come.
Yeah.
They've said as much. I mean, it's out there. I mean, it's not a secret. They've all said it. I mean, Alden confirmed it with contract talk. Larry and John confirmed it with talk.
Yeah. And
they're basically like, yeah. I mean, Ron basically said, hey, it all depends if you motherfuckers go and spend money, and we didn't.
Yeah, didn't spend enough. And I think
we didn't do it.
And here's the thing that I think is funny. I've seen a lot of lists of the biggest box office failures of 2000 and 2018, and Solo is listed on there as one of the biggest box office failures. And the funny thing to me is that this movie is, I mean, it's not a box office failure. I mean, it made $213 million at domestic box office. If you're not a Marvel or a Star Wars movie and you make that kind of money, it's a massive success.
It made money. It failed for a Star Wars pedigree movie.
Exactly. I mean, with almost $400 million in worldwide box office, you're talking, 392.
No one lost their
393
ass.
million.
It just wasn't an ATM.
Yeah, it wasn't a TLJ. It wasn't a TFA. It wasn't any of the previous Star Wars movies under Disney's banner.
It was a culmination of everything.
Yeah.
The most being Disney's hubris.
Yeah. But that movie was fantastically executed. Anybody that has seen that movie that I've talked to, whether it be in the theaters or at home, all agree that it's a great movie. It's fun. It fills in gaps. It gives additional context, and they were pleased with it. It's just it was done so poorly by Disney that they stepped on their own foot, and this is what we get from it. We get a fantastic movie with an ending that sets up the continuation perfectly, and we're not going to get that continuation.
John Kasdan basically said the arc of Kira and Han was only 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah, I mean,
and an idiot could have figured that out. I mean, that's how the movie ends.
Yeah, anybody who sees that movie all the way through knows that there's more stories to tell.
Yeah, and know he was going to Tatooine. You know he's going to work for Jabba, and you know he was going to make a name for himself because Jabba does say, even in Return of the Jedi, because again, I've seen it a million times. Basically, you were one of the best, if not the best smuggler, but fuck you.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to look at the added scene that was shoved back into the special editions in Episode 4, that conversation that Jabba and Han have on Tatooine.
Well, it's Jabba basically giving him a break, like, hey, man.
Yeah. Like, I know you've done good for me before, so I'm not going to give you a hard time here, but come on. You know what you got to do. But, yeah, I mean, maybe in the future, maybe if Episode 9 blows it out the water and, Disney's feeling...
Dude, Episode 9 is probably going to approach Episode 7 levels because people have been starved now.
Yeah.
And that was the mistake. I mean, as we were talking in the last cast, it's a shame that we were not watching a Star Wars movie in December.
Yeah. I think if Disney wants to do the right thing and they want to show the respect to not only the filmmakers but the fans, they take the success of Episode 9 and they let Solo 2 happen. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I don't know.
I'm with you 100%. You got to give it another chance.
Yeah. I mean,
you have to.
I mean, they take this one on the chin. I mean, if taking it on the chin is making money off of a blockbuster movie,
give it another chance. And don't fucking cram it, like space it out.
Yeah. Do it like you do every other movie that you've ever released. Every Star Wars movie that you've released, at least Disney, you put it in December. You give it 1 year, just like every other movie you give, and good things will happen. But
yeah, so the point is, the reason we're stumping for is because the next two moments on this list come from Solo.
Yeah,
the Kessel Run gets ran. We finally see it. One of the most iconic lines from the very first Star Wars movie is Han selling his services to Obi and Luke. When he basically says, yeah, you want my ship. You've never heard of it? It's the one that did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Yeah, and nobody ever knew what that meant. Nobody knew what the Kessel Run was.
I mean, it made it all the way into the new trilogy before we finally saw what the fuck the Kessel Run really was.
Yeah.
But we got it in 2018.
The way that it was executed, I mean, here's the thing. Old EU fans can talk about what the Kessel Run was described as back then all they want, but the facts is that all of that's wiped away now, and that the Kessel Run is what we see in Solo. And
you know what else, dude? I don't know if you remember. Sorry to cut you off, but I believe it's in the first movie. But even C-3PO or someone threatens that he doesn't want to go to the spice mines of Kessel.
Yeah, the spice mines of Kessel. Exactly. That was 3PO. Yeah. And now we get to see it. And I mean, it was brought to life in such a fantastic way.
That's what you get with these standalones, people.
Yeah. I mean,
the little shit.
there's a lot of cool shit in here. There's so many things in this movie. I mean, you get to see why the Falcon it has such a great Navicomputer in Solo, why it has the best Navicomputer in the galaxy. You get to see the Kessel Run and what it means to do it in less than 12 parsecs. And, you know, I don't know.
See why
it's
it looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah, how the Falcon goes from shiny, brand new when Lando had it to busted up piece of garbage when Han
with
had
a gap tooth.
Yeah, with a giant middle piece missing out of the front of it. I mean, again, you have to get on the Solo train because this movie does so much for the saga as a whole and for the entire Star Wars galaxy as a whole that it's hard to not do. I mean, it's hard to not like this movie. But yeah, the Kessel Run, and if you haven't seen it, in the body of the post, we included the behind the scenes making of the Kessel Run with all the special effects that were done by ILM, and I mean, it's really cool to see how
within
a scene
18
like this
seconds, Han's boasting about the ship to Obi-Wan. I mean, that conversation is the best.
Yeah, you've never heard of the Millennium
Yeah.
Falcon? Like
Obi-Wan, this pimp. Like, Han has no idea who Obi-Wan is. Like, Obi-Wan, honestly, at this point in Star Wars time, is one of the most influential motherfuckers in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, literally the galaxy. People around the galaxy know Obi-Wan. They would know him.
Yeah, because he's saved so many lives. He's been to so many different
He's
planets.
infamous. I mean, he's Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi. And Han is, like, so incredulous over the fact that Obi-Wan doesn't know the Millennium Falcon.
I think at one point too, like Obi-Wan, like his face,
like,
the face that Alex, exactly, like
Yeah.
the face that Alex Guinness makes is perfect. He's like, oh really? Like, yeah.
Oh, my bad. Like,
yeah.
I had no idea.
Excuse me, I don't know your ship. Like, do you know who I am? Like,
yeah, but
come on.
That's what I mean. That's why, again, that's also why Han is just a pimp. I love Han.
Yeah.
I love him more and more the more I watch him, and because of Solo. So, moving on to 8, speaking of Solo, again, another fantastic Star Wars moment from 2018. We finally got to see at least the new canon of how Han and Chewie become BFFs.
Yeah, and it stays consistent in some ways with old canon,
Right,
obviously.
Exactly. It does.
But it puts a fun spin on it. And I think that's the best way to describe Solo to people who want to watch it and who haven't seen it yet. It is a fun movie. Like, it's not going to have the dour kind of serious and kind of, darkened tone that Rogue One had. This is a fun movie that definitely has some tragic moments in it, but it's meant to be a thrill ride. And this moment here, the meeting between Han and Chewie, is one of those moments that's injected into this film, and it's so fun to see how these two interact with each other and how they finally decide not to kill each other while they're in this slop pit together.
The best part, and to me the most unexpected part, was the Wookiee on Wookiee dialect.
Yeah.
When Han busts that shit out, I mean, I couldn't. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, because how else is Han going to win, not even win over the respect, but like get this Wookiee to get out of his death frenzy and just hold himself together for a second? I mean, and
He's
speaking,
like halfway in the mud going, "Woo!"
Yeah. I mean, speaking Treewook, and then it's also a perfect way to subvert the guards, the Imperial guards that are standing right above them. I mean, it was just a well-executed scene altogether. And, I mean, I think it was made all the better by Ron Howard. After seeing the initial cuts and, like, the deleted scenes from that and seeing what the original vision for it was and how long it was supposed to go, I really do think that the
Oh, no, it was great. Because, I mean, it really led into them having their shower together and then having their little talk out on the plank of, that ship that everyone jacked from Minbom.
Yeah. So, again,
so it's good. I mean, again, Solo, fantastic. It got burned. It got burned by Disney brass. There's no doubt about it. Didn't deserve it, but it is what it is. Moving on to number 9, a to me, one of my favorite moments of the year, and that was the arrival of Star Wars Resistance, which is a brand new cartoon series on the Disney family channels, streaming this, that, and the other thing. Takes place after Return of the Jedi, but before The Force Awakens, much closer to The Force Awakens. But either way, it's actually the first 11 full episodes we've got, Nick, have actually turned out to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a storyline that's filling in gaps and giving us context into how the Resistance gets all this information on the First Order. And that's done through the main character of the show, Kaz, and him essentially working on this refueling station, this Colossus refueling station, as a spy for the Resistance. And, the addition of characters like Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma from the movies really gives the show credence that it may have not had otherwise. A lot of people were very skeptical about this show, and I think that there are still people out there who haven't given it a chance yet specifically because of the visual style. It's very different than any Star Wars animated series that we've ever seen before, but it gives a new flair to the universe. Like it really allows the animators to do things that they weren't able to do or they hadn't done in previous Star Wars cartoon series. And I really do like the way that it's kind of filled out so far.
Oh, I do. I mean, 100%. I mean, obviously on the site, StarWarsTime.net, and our YouTube channel, I do a Easter egg recap and breakdown for each new episode, as well as a review and recap breakdown. So I'm in it to win it on Resistance. I've loved it. I do like the visual style. I mean, I wouldn't say it's full-on anime, but it's also not anything traditionally we've seen in Star Wars animation, as Nick has said. But it stands out, but I think it works perfectly for the show. I do like that it is adding lore for the new trilogy. It is lore for the new trilogy because, like I said, it takes place a few years before TFA. So we're talking decades post the original stuff. So, I mean, I think that timeline is ripe for storytelling, and I'm all about getting new stories told. And that's exactly what we're getting through Resistance. So, huge fan. I hope they keep up with it. I mean, no one knows if it's going to go on past this first season. We do know it's on a break, but it should be coming back here shortly. And when it does, yours truly will be doing his Easter egg breakdowns and, of course, the recap and reviews. And as Nick and I have promised, we'll also be doing the Resistance recaps on the Star Wars Time Show podcast network. So hook that shit up. Subscribe. Moving on, buddy. So sticking with kind of animated stuff, animated Star Wars, new types of Star Wars animation. I throw on here the arrival of Star Wars Kids YouTube and Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, which is that channel's flagship series. And the main reason I put that on there, Nick, is because having a young kid and just looking at the content, I think it was a brilliant move on behalf of Lucasfilm and Disney.
I think it's a brilliant move for that, and it's also just the thought that they put into it to ensure that Star Wars will persist for generations is really what's impressive here. Because really the thing that keeps a franchise like this going is, can you rope in the younger generation when they're still young? I mean, with Marvel stuff, it's easy. It's built in because Marvel is built for children. Like, it's built for kids, and now we have the cinematic universe that is built for kids and adults. But with Star Wars, it can be a little bit harder to rope in kids just based off of the movies alone. So having a series like this that takes you through some of these iconic moments in the original trilogy and in the movies that are in making them kid friendly and making them more approachable and bite-sized for YouTube content. I mean, that is what's going to ensure that Star Wars persists for another, it's been 45 years 45 years 42 years since the first one came out. This is going to ensure that we're going on for 42 plus more years is this type of content.
I mean, the stuff's brilliant. you want to talk about unique looking visuals. I mean, just catch an episode of Star Wars Galaxy Adventures. I mean, that's about as anime as Star Wars has gotten officially. I mean, I've seen some really cool shit on Instagram and YouTube that's not official, that's very anime manga type, but I think it's fantastic, and I wish they would be putting out more content. They've kind of slowed down, but they did promise throughout the year, all the way up to episode 9, they will be creating stuff. So stay tuned to Star Wars Kids YouTube, and of course StarWarsTime.net. We will be covering everything they put out. There's no doubt about it. So number 11, pretty huge stuff. It was speculated on for years. I mean, it was almost promised way back in 05-06. But finally, Nick, in 2018, we got confirmation that we are getting a live-action Star Wars TV series in the form of Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian.
This is huge. Like, to me, this may be the biggest announcement of 2018. Is it my favorite? I don't know. Who knows? But this is the biggest because, like you said, this was something that was promised by George when George still had it. And this was promised at a time when Star Wars was starting to slow down after the release of Revenge of the Sith. And we weren't sure what the future Star Wars was going to look like. We knew that there would probably be video games because LucasArts had always dabbled in video games even before the prequel trilogy had arrived. But we didn't know what the future of live-action Star Wars was going to look like. And it was rumored back then that we were going to get a Fox show. It was going to be a live-action TV show on Fox, and it just never occurred. And now we're getting it, and we're getting it in, I really think, the best possible way. We're getting a series that does not focus on the established main characters that we're familiar with. It's not going to focus on Luke Skywalker or Anakin, Obi-Wan, Rey, Poe, anything like that. It is going to be focused on a very familiar setting within Star Wars, and that's probably the underworld and the bounty hunters. And it's going to feature a character that sports an iconic look, and this character looks just like Boba Fett. And I really do think that this show is going to be maybe not Game of Thrones level violence, but I think it's going to be Game of Thrones level excellent content.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be like an R level or TVMA.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it, but there's just no way. I mean, it's Star Wars. That'll never happen. Yeah. And they can even get away with that just based on the science of Star Wars. I mean, blaster bolts technically don't have to explode people, and lightsabers don't have to make people's blood splurt out, so...
Exactly.
But I do. I mean, we're talking, 10 million episodes, so I think the production's going to be top-notch.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be right up there with Game of Thrones in terms of production, in terms of sets and the costume design and the effects. It's going to be fantastic. And as we've speculated, I believe this is going to be potentially even joined with the Clone Wars, a launch title for Disney Plus.
Yeah. I mean, if you are really on the fence about Disney Plus, just look at the type of content that we're going to be getting. And if you're not sold on the Star Wars content, look at the Marvel content.
Oh yeah,
that's coming.
They're doing Marvel shit too. I mean, I'm pretty sure Loki is locked and loaded.
Yeah. Like, there's going to be, like, a lot of people think that Disney Plus is only going to be backlog Disney movies, and then, like, this is where all of your Disney Channel original movies and shows go after they're done.
You're going to get tons of original shit on this. It's going to be huge. It's going to be must own. It's going to be must own.
I mean, there are people who think that Netflix may legitimately die because of this. Like, not die completely, but look at the amount of material that Disney owns now. Disney owns Fox, so anything that was Fox is now Disney.
In terms, I mean, Netflix technically could still be a safe haven for original content creation, and then things that aren't related to sequels and franchises.
Yeah. So Disney owns Fox, Disney owns ABC, Disney owns Star Wars, Disney owns Marvel. What else is on Netflix that's not original content that's worth seeing? I mean, think about it, people. Disney Plus is a lock purchase as soon as it drops. And it's not due in large, I mean, it's due in large part to this kind of content that we're getting from The Mandalorian. It's
due in 100% part to Star Wars, Marvel, Mouse.
Yeah.
Like, if they throw up fucking Disney movies on this shit and maybe charge an extra fee, it's lights out. I mean, if they upload the entire Disney catalog of cartoons, yeah, I mean, get the fuck out of here. Or just Disney movies. I mean, come on.
I mean, my TV would be locked on. Like, it would just never leave Disney Plus. But yeah, so, I mean, The Mandalorian, you know, if you guys have been following along with us here on Star Wars Time, then we've given you all the information that there is to have about casting, about rumors.
Yeah, there's going to be an Ugnaught played by Nick Nolte. That's all you need to know. Moving on to 12.
All right. Number 12.
But in all seriousness, number 12, sticking with the Disney Plus live-action Star Wars train, not only was it confirmed that we're getting The Mandalorian and it's already shooting, but it was confirmed we're getting a live-action Cassian motherfucking Andor series. How about that?
This was so out of the blue. It was so out of nowhere. Cassian Andor was one of those characters that you knew when you saw the movie that he had a background that was very interesting and would probably be really cool to learn more about. And if we're positioning these, you know, TV series, these live action TV series to fill a gap that we don't have in the movies, this is the perfect gap to take these ancillary characters, to take these characters that I don't want to say are ignored, but definitely play second fiddle and then flesh them out. And when you can do it like this with the original actor himself, with Diego Luna reprising his role as Cassian, playing a younger Cassian, I mean, there's no better way to do it. There's so much that we're going to be able to see, not only about his relationships with K2 and the other members of the rebellion, but we also get to see the growth and the evolution of the rebellion through this show. And I think that's going to be the most interesting part of it, is to see the inner workings of the rebellion like we've never seen it before.
Oh, dude, I'm not going to lie, and that's the point right there I was going to make. I think this show has more potential than The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
For the hardcore. I mean, I'm still excited about The Mandalorian because it could be anything, and we know, I mean, we're going to talk in the next episode that we know we're going to get at least one great cameo or inclusion of a classic character, random character, but still ones that hardcore fans will love. But I'm right with you. I mean, I think the Cassian show could really flesh out the inner workings of the rebellion, but also more about the Empire. Because again, I mean, all we knew about the Empire from the original movies was they had really badass ships and Death Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't quite see the oppression that we're slowly getting through, you know, a Solo or a Rogue One. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think the inner workings of how Cassian, you know, kind of fluctuates in between the rebellion and being a spy and spying on the Empire, I think there's some great content to be told there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is gonna give everybody probably the most interesting look inside of those factions that we will ever get. I mean, and what better perspective to tell it from than a rebel spy? I mean, enough said.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Number 13, I don't think it's one that Nick and I can really go deep on, but it was worth mentioning just based on, you know, another Star Wars fan I respect, my man Kung Fu, and just Star Wars Nation in general talking about these books. But we got Thrawn Alliances, which was the book that, I don't know, have you gotten to this one, Nick?
I haven't, and it's just because I'm a lazy fuck and I haven't finished reading the first book yet. I only have like 100 pages left, and I own this book already. It's like sitting on my bookshelf right behind me. I just haven't read it yet, but I have heard equally good things about this.
Yeah, but the reason I put it on there is because I think it features some pretty major canon type of shit. And the reason for that is it basically tells two stories at the same time, set in different time periods, featuring the same characters. So it tells a tale of when Anakin Skywalker and Thrawn had to work together during the Clone War era. But it also tells a tale of Grand Admiral Thrawn and Darth Vader having to do kind of a mission. But it reveals a lot. It reveals a lot about Thrawn and his culture, the Chiss, and they actually had words in their language for Skywalker. So there's like some weird shit going on in this book. Again, one of the reasons I put it up there. But in terms of Star Wars literature, it really sounds like this new Zahn trilogy with Thrawn, which is about to end, I think, coming up soon here in 2019.
Yep.
Is probably, again, just like his shit for the EU, mandatory reading.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I've gotten in the first book, I mean, I read a lot of old EU novels, and the Thrawn book, this current one, is top notch. I mean, this is, if you enjoyed the first Timothy Zahn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy, then you're gonna enjoy these books as well. I mean, it's written by the same guy. He's got the same love for the character as he had, if not more, than he had when he.
Is he the creator of the character, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So that's why they brought him back in. It's because they knew that the only way to do Thrawn justice is just to bring back the creator of the character, and that was Timothy Zahn. So, yeah, do yourselves a favor. If you haven't gotten the books already, just go out and buy them from a bookstore, on Amazon. Download your free subscription of Audible from any fucking podcast that's on the planet. There's always Audible ads and stuff like that on there. And listen to it, read it on a Kindle, read it in paper, whatever you do. Fill your head with Thrawn knowledge from the books.
Agreed. I'll get there someday once I figure out how to use books on tape.
Yeah.
All right, so 14, and honestly, this was a bummer to me, but I think it needed to be on this list because it is kind of huge, and I do believe it is now canon. I wish I didn't come upon this, but being a Star Wars junkie, you just sometimes have to suck it up and eat spoilers to the face. So again, if you're just tuning in or listening, spoilers here. I do believe this is a pretty major moment. And like Nick wrote it up, I do not appreciate how this moment was delivered. Either way, right at the tail end of 2018, we got the truth behind the Chosen One.
Yeah, and
he's not really the Chosen One.
He's not chosen, that's for sure. Which kind of brings up some other interesting implications.
So
anyway,
I think there's good points to this, but I also, the point you made is the one I latch onto. It's just, I just don't think this is a place to do it. The medium, at least.
Yeah. So again, like Matt said, spoiler alert if you don't want to learn who Anakin's father is, but jumping into it now, through the Vader Comics number 25, the current Vader comic run, we find out that Anakin Skywalker's true father is none other than Emperor Palpatine himself. We know that he had learned the skill to, influence the Force to create life. We learned about that in his little opera speech that he gave in episode 3, and now it's confirmed that we assume it's confirmed. I mean, from everything that we can tell, this is real, that this is true. I mean, that he was the one who influenced Shmi Skywalker's
by the way, I mean, Vader
pregnancy.
/ Anakin was on like a spirit walk.
Yeah, it was essentially like a vision quest, if you know what one of those is. But he was seeing his life. He was essentially on death's door as Vader, and he started to relive and see his life through the Force. And what makes this so convincing and so real is that everything else he saw during this walk, during this vision, was true. Everything else was real, had happened. It was going to happen. It was accurate. So to see this in that context is almost confirmation that this is the true meaning or the true genesis of Anakin Skywalker himself.
Well, I think the point you make is a good one in the post, at least, where, well, I think I kind of borrowed it from your writing, but essentially, it does kill the idea that Anakin is the chosen one, but knowing how Mac Daddy Sidious was with his planning, it does make sense that he would go to this length to further dupe the Jedi into just going along with their dumb ways and teachings and books.
Yeah, I mean,
not really being able to realize the moment and what was actually happening.
Yeah, it was the perfect manipulation of a prophecy that Sidious knew existed. Like, he knew that the prophecy of the chosen one was out there, one born of the Force that will bring balance. And what better way to falsify that than to have the skill to create life yourself and bring about
from the Force, albeit. So, I mean, Anakin still would have tested high and been loaded with midichlorians, if you will.
Exactly, but they would have never been able to tell that his origins were of the dark side. So yeah, I mean, and like you said, though, I don't know which other way they could have done it at this point. It seems like they're averse to making a Vader standalone movie, but to bury this kind of knowledge, this
in a closing comic, nonetheless. I mean, I believe this is like the final issue of this Vader run.
Yeah, I just think that that's such a disservice to the character of Vader, to the importance of this reveal, and to the fans themselves. Because
maybe it's not real. I mean, then who knows? But
it could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be not real. But I mean, as someone who was always interested in his father and who had partaken in speculation online, like, it was basically down to his father was either Plagueis or his father was Palpatine.
You know what's funny? I was also just fine with he is legitimately Jesus.
Yeah, like, he's legitimately
I
the
honestly
chosen
would
one.
not have cared less if they explained it away or not.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
I do think in the end, I mean, his arc is corrected through his son.
yeah, exactly. Like, and you know, I think this is one of those things where, since the concept of I guess you would say, a force manipulated pregnancy was brought up by George, people felt compelled to follow up on it. Like,
It is weird. Like I said, the only reason it's on this list because it's a huge moment. I don't like it. I do not like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I mean, you could almost call it force rape.
Yeah, it is. I mean, basically,
because
that's
she's
kind of
technically like pregnant or something, and he's like doing voodoo on her.
Yeah,
It's fucking weird.
it was.
It's just
dude.
weird.
It was odd. And
All right, let's move on. I don't like
Okay.
it. Let's move
Let's
on.
go.
I don't like it. And honestly, this last one is it's all me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just grasping at straws at this point. I don't like ending on an even number for some reason on a list. So,
15.
but I mean, again, if you're one of my toy collecting buddies, toy photographers, toy community bros, whatever you want to call it. In 2018, we got something fantastic in the form of Star Wars Black Series. This is the $20 line, the 6-inch figures, 1/12 scale. But we got some new technology this year in the form of photoreal face tech. And quite frankly, it's been game-changing. I mean, not only for collecting, but also if you take pictures of the toys. Because we're talking now, you can spend $20 and buy a figure like Grand Moff Tarkin, and he legitimately looks like Grand Moff Tarkin, and not like Grand Moff Tarkin after he drank 3 bottles of NyQuil.
Yeah, it's not like Grand Moff Tarkin after he went through
Right.
like a furnace or something.
I mean,
like that.
my
His face
Obi-Wan
melted.
from Revenge of the Sith, I call him Derpy-Wan Kenobi, because if you look at his face, he looks derpy as fuck.
Yeah, I have to say that I definitely don't know as much about toys or the making of toys as you do, but I do know that the faces on small figures have always been notoriously horrible. Like,
bad.
There's
Like literally, they just glob paint on, and then they'll dab like an eyeball in like an eyebrow. And
yeah.
now they literally like 3D spray on face paint, and it legitimately looks just like the actor or actress.
Yeah, the one like the image that you included in this post of Grand Moff Tarkin, I mean, like that looks exactly like the character from the movie. It looks exactly like Peter Cushing. I mean, that is a testament to how well this technology works.
All of them look like that now. Where the point I made is, if you've been a toy collector, in particular Star Wars toys, you like the 1/12 scale. The only way to get near movie accurate figures was to spend $60 or more to import these SH Figu Arts figures from Japan. Which still, I mean, I still buy them because they're immaculate. I mean, their faces sculpt paint to this day, ridiculous. But the fact that Hasbro's like, all right, we're gonna invest a little bit in this, but we're still only gonna charge you $20. So I mean, these days I can spend $20 and basically get a figure that I used to have to spend 60 plus in terms of facial quality, this, that, and the other thing.
Beautiful.
So nerdy things aside, that was my number 15.
All right, so we come to the end of the list, and at this moment, I think, Matt, you're gonna kick off some personal.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean,
moment.
I don't want to go too long, but I didn't want to include this on the main list because this is just 100% personal. But I do want to mention it now, real briefly, at the end of this cast. And in 2018, what I got as a Star Wars fan, and 100% my personal top moment, was the fact that my daughter, before she turned 3, without me doing shit, without me saying anything, forcing it on her, nothing. I mean, it just basically all comes from her mother reading her, some kiddie Star Wars 1, 2, 3 books. And just, I don't know, the Force, whatever you want to call it. But my little kid, my little daughter, came to me one day this fall and asked to start watching Star Wars. And she, back in spring asked me to watch, she wanted to, dabble with the cartoons. But it was this fall she firmly came to me, and she was ready to dive into Star Wars. And boy, have we dove in. I'm talking into the deep end. She is a junkie. She loves the original trilogy. That's my advice. I'm telling you right now, I kind of struggled with it. I do now believe the right way to go is you start with 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
She loves them. Loves them. Luke, Leia, Han cannot get enough. Luke, Leia especially, she is a super fan. It's been a dream come true. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I almost want to vomit. I've seen so much Star Wars in the past 8 weeks. But there are also times where I'm going, what do you mean, dude? I mean, this is it. This is everything. Look at your little kid. Look at your little girl. Look at the joy she is experiencing, exactly what you did when you were her age.
It's the best gift that you probably could have asked for as a father this year.
There's no question. Question.
It sets up so much cool stuff for you because you have so many memories from when you were a kid. Well, going to the theater and watching Star Wars with your dad, and now you're in perfect position to have those memories with your daughter.
My goal is to somehow get a sub 4-year-old by the time December comes next year to go to episode 9.
I know that's gonna be
not
a task.
Viewing one. I mean, I'm not crazy. Viewing one's gonna have to be for me.
You probably have to wait a little while. Wait till the theaters get a little empty.
It's gonna have to be like a 10:30 first screening, maybe week 2 or 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say week 2 when it slows down a little bit. Early matinee on like a Thursday.
Because I know the whole time if she's still into it, it's gonna be, where's Luke? Where's Leia? Hey, Daddy, where are they going?
She may get her
what are they
fill
doing
with Rey and BB-8.
Why is he sad? Why he do that?
But that's just.
Why is Kylo angry?
That's what makes it so cool, though, with kids like that.
Oh, it's hilarious, dude. I mean, and that's the thing. It reminds me of myself and probably all of us when we were little. you really can watch the same shit over and over and still be kind of emotionally blown away by the same moments. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
seeing that in my daughter. Like, she now has her moments where she'll start getting all amped up when they come around. And a lot of them are some of the same moments I had when I was a little kid. But it's funny that it's like a whole new experience for her every time she watches it. So, again, I mean, to me in 2018, that without a doubt, personally, that's number one. I mean, just seeing my kid embrace this stuff to the level she has and her ability to memorize characters and know this, that, and the other thing, and relationships and plot ties, it's been fantastic. I mean, we've gone through the entire Skywalker saga as it exists right now. We've done them all. The only thing we have not done are the standalones in Rogue One and Solo, but they're coming up.
That's a beautiful 2018 moment to close this cast out on. If you guys listening have any top moments in 2018 that we may have missed in this list, or you have any personal favorite moments for Star Wars in 2018, let us know. Drop us a tweet, send us a message or a post on Facebook, and or drop a comment on one of our posts here. So thank you all for listening in, and I'll hand you guys over to Matt for the sign off.
That's right, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed our countdown of the top 15 plus one. I had to get that in there. I'm sorry, my friends. Those of you, when you get older and you have kids, you'll understand. It is a truly magical experience. As much as I never wanted kids, I couldn't ask for anything else at this point in life. And the fact that she loves Star Wars just makes it even better. So anyways, people, it's been good to be back. I'm glad to be talking Star Wars. And we're going to be talking more Star Wars, so make sure to stay tuned. And if this is something new to you, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe. You can follow along, StarWarsTime.net. It's all right there. I mean, we've got a subscribe to podcast page if you need help. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on iTunes. You can do it on Google Play. You can do it on Android, email, RSS. It doesn't matter. We're out there. Get with it. We love you. May the Force be with you. Always.